Hello, YouTube. Do you know why evil people seem to get away with everything? Do you know why God's people always seem like they're in pain? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Why evil people succeed. We have two verses that we're going to be coming out of today. Two books, actually. One is Matthew 5 and 45, and the other is Colossians 2 verses 20 to 23. So, what do you say we got started? Matthew 5 says, that ye may be children of your Father which is in heaven, for he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. Colossians 2 20 to 23 says, you have died with Christ, and he has set you free from the spiritual powers of this world. So why do you keep on following the rules of the world, such as don't handle, don't taste, don't touch? Such rules are mere human teachings about things that deteriorate as we use them. These rules may seem wise because they require strong devotion, pious self denial, and severe bodily discipline, but they provide no help in conquering a person's evil desires. Kind of interesting when you think about those two. You see, when God says he reigns on the just and the unjust, it's not like he sits there and says, okay, I'm going to bless this person. Okay, I'm going to bless that person. It's very simple. And it's really not complicated, despite how complicated we often try to make it. Here's what happens. Woven into the fabric of this world are what's called biblical principles. And those biblical principles are the things that allow you to stand no matter what the situation is that you're in. They are the things that make the difference between whether you succeed or you fail. It is biblical principles that allow the world to reign on the just and the unjust. You know, this is the thing that I always find most ironic because so many times people will get angry at people and say, well, they just get opportunities that I don't get. The reality is that those people stand on the biblical principles that are already written in the fabric of the earth. So if they stand on those principles, you can't help but be successful. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing, because there are certain keys that we are given. We're given the ability to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish, to subdue, and to have dominion. Those are the five things that are woven into the fabric of our DNA, specifically our DNA. What we don't understand, and what most believers think, is that they have to pray to God for him to bring to them. They don't begin by understanding that God has already given them an amazing asset. And when you understand that you are already equipped with the assets you need to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish, to subdue, and to have dominion, that changes how you respond to things. It changes how you interpret what he's saying to you. Not that you come up with your own interpretation, because he says there's no private interpretation of the word. We have to understand that. That's not what I'm saying, and that's not what this means. What I am saying is this: you see the world and the word that he left us differently when you first understand that he's already equipped you with everything you need to be successful. It changes your way of seeing things, your understanding, your mindset, how you work through things. All of that changes. But what do? We sit back and we want to lean on the world. We want to accept things that are not designed for us to accept. We want to twist and bend and contort and do things in a way that behoove us, but are not in line with what is already out there for us to be successful. So, what then is happening is that every day we are reinventing the wheel. And every day that you begin to reinvent the wheel, guess what? You're slowing yourself down and you're creating problems and struggles where none need to exist. Understand that. What is the purpose of going through this struggle when you don't have to? Ask yourself, why is it that I want to make my life harder than it needs to be? Because when you start looking at these different things, you're going to start changing how you interact with these different things. And that's what's most important. And I want to tell you something because today has been a really interesting day, the way that the Lord has been working with me and he's been talking to me. And the saddest thing is that when you walk with the Father, when Jesus is the savior of your life, if your life isn't bearing the fruit, then you have to ask yourself if you really are walking with Christ. Because a tree, a Christ made, driven, planted tree cannot produce bad fruit. A good tree will never, ever produce bad fruit. When someone says to you, I believe in the Father, and their fruit is no good, then they're not telling you the truth. And see, this is where the problem comes in when we're walking in this world called Christianity. This is why you hear me talk about certain churches and how you have to be careful who you allow to speak into you. Because if people are not correcting you, if the word is not being used to grow you up and to guide you and to develop you into the person that the Father created you to be, then it's not a church he supports. And it's drawing you further away from who he is. That's why we're in Colossians 2. Because we want you to understand exactly what Jesus is saying about this. Because remember, he said, you have died with Christ, and he has set you free from the spiritual powers of this world. Remember, it's never the person that's doing it. It's the spirit behind the person that's bringing forward all the challenges that you're seeing. So why do you keep on following the rules of the world, such as don't handle, don't taste, don't touch? Such rules are mere human teachings about things that deteriorate as we use them. They fall apart. They are not steadfast. They are not going to sustain through hard times, no matter what you're going through. They can't stand because they're not built on that stone foundation. These rules may seem wise because they require strong devotion. You see, when somebody requires you to be devoted to them, you have to make sure that what you're devoted to is in line with what Jesus is teaching. Because if you devote yourself to something or someone that is not from him, you're standing on pious self-denial, severe bodily discipline, but they will not provide help in conquering your evil desires. We are our own worst enemy. Everything in this life begins with who we are, what we accept, and what we choose to walk in. And let me explain to you that, especially in this day and age, you're going to find broken people who try and convince you that the crazy things they do are in line with the Bible. Why would you accept that? The Bible speaks very clearly for itself. It does not require you to do anything extra or up above and beyond. If a person doesn't want to accept responsibilities for the situations they get themselves into, why would you? These are things that have to happen for things to take place and to grow and to become fruitful and to multiply into more things that you want. If we keep living in this realm of darkness, the only thing that we're multiplying is darkness. At what point do we get tired of that darkness? At what point do we say enough is enough and move on to something different? At what point do we change what we think and what we believe so that we can become more than what we are? It's up to you to make the decision as to how you want to proceed forward with this. And until you are willing to make those decisions, you're going to keep producing and multiplying darkness. So, I hope that you will take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification button so every Friday when we go live, you will be notified to know when to join us and when not to. Next week, I want you to spend more time putting things in the chat. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll get back to them either through a video or someone will respond via the comment section. But if you ask a strong enough question, we'll definitely make a video about it. I'll see you next week. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. Oh, and love your weekend.